Finally found the niche of BIM, VDC, laser scanning, the technology, and all the logistics side of it.
I decided to pursue structural engineering and civil engineering, specializing in BIM.
One of the big things that I had to do is rely on other companies for scanning.
I use a RTC 360, register my data cyclone, I kick it out and review it.
We're all still fighting to be the best in our field.
Holding your ground and proving to them that I know what I'm doing or I wouldn't be there.
As long as you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything in this world. Your gender doesn't matter, your race doesn't matter, nothing matters. It's just about perseverance.
Alrighty guys, let's give a warm welcome to our Women in AEC and Technology panel.
Started here. We're going to do some introductions and then get started with some questions. My name is Chantel Menlove. I'm the VDC manager for a general contractor, Big D Construction out of Utah. And I've been in the industry for about 15 years, half of it on the design side and then the other half in construction.
And I'll introduce from this side, I'm Katie Montag. I am the Vice President of Technology and Innovation for Knutson Construction. We're a general contractor, construction manager based out of Minneapolis. And I've been in the industry a little bit over 13 years. Very similar to Chantel, I started on the architecture side and actually moved to the construction side about 5 years ago. And really excited to be out here with this group of women just to be able to advocate and look at how we can enter into the field and ways we can introduce others here.
Cool. I'll go next. I'm Morgan Drevis. I am the VDC manager at JTM Construction. We're out of Seattle, Washington. I got started in construction only 5 years ago, but I've been given a lot of opportunities to excel really quickly, and I'm really grateful for that. So it's really sweet to be up here on the panel and be able to share kind of our journey and experience.
I'm Lori Perry, and I'm the Director of Construction Technology for Joris General Contractors. We're based in San Antonio, Texas, and I've been in the construction industry for a little over 15 years now. I'm really excited to be part of this panel because I feel like women are still slightly underrepresented in our industry. And so for me, I feel like it's just important to show up and be that face for young women who are still making their career choices.
I'm Dee Dee Schwacky with Bowman, running our survey group for the Carolinas. I've been in surveying for 22 years, and I'm enjoying just being part of the group.
Hi, my name is Leslie Rosa. I am proudly here with Navis. A lot of you probably remember me from my SPAR AEC days. I was working on that for the past 6 years of my career, but now with Navis as a Senior Business Development Specialist. Super excited to be a part of this panel and be a part of this community in this manner. I think we have a huge opportunity with RCN specifically. Thanks so much, Matt, for making this a priority. But I think there's a lot of opportunity here for women in this market, in this industry, to continue to collaborate and come together and have an impact in this industry.
Hi, I'm Jamila Balik. I'm project surveyor with Bowman. I've been in surveying profession for about 7 years, and I love it so far. I'm just excited to be here and share my story with you.
Hi everyone, my name is Constanza Scholl. I am BIM manager at BAMO. We are an interior architecture that specializes in hospitality, hotels, and high-end residentials. And I joined this beautiful panel to bring up my story, show representation, and inspire new generations and young humans to join the industry.
All right, we're excited to be here with all of you and just answer questions, but just talk about our experience in the industries we've been in. And if you have questions, please go to the mic. If you're there, we'll answer your questions as we go, or you can wait till the end, but we'd love your questions. As soon as you think of them, go ahead and ask them. We can talk all day long, but we would rather answer your questions. So we've got the time to do that. So if you do have that question, please do go ahead and ask that. Katie and I will be watching for anyone at the microphone, so you can go ahead and do that. But we're just going to start off with the first question, and just to get things started. So what we want to start with, what had got you into the industry? What was that key factor, that one thing that really interested you about what you're doing right now and got you to the place that you're at?
And I was just going to kick it off. I think for us, that the question is, I think we all get asked that, right? We're asked, how did you get into the industry? How did you start? And we all have our own stories, and being able to share those stories with this group. And so for me, mine came from the architecture side. I really started on the design side, had a passion for the technology, had a great opportunity at the first firm I was at to transition from AutoCAD to Revit. And it was just right timing to really understand that I loved that technology application, and being able to kind of jumpstart my career, and I would say find that small space that didn't exist and really continue to grow that just drove my career growth that really hadn't existed before because of that technology just coming out and being new and being relevant to the design side.
Yeah, I'd say, I started out being a kid. Like, my dad was a superintendent, his dad was a superintendent. It's pretty common in construction industry for, especially men, for their sons and fathers to work together. I mean, I met a couple here, or not a couple, a father and a son who do that. And so I think my dad planted the seed. He brought me around to job sites as a kid. I remember doing, he built a Little Caesars, and we got to go make pizzas. And it's just like, he didn't make pizzas, but he gave that space for it. And I didn't realize it until I got older, and I would play Sims. I don't know, has anyone ever played Sims out in the crowd? Yes, so I would build houses in there, and then turns out there's a job for that in the real world where you can get paid good money. So that's how I'm here.
That's a really good story. I think growing up, I was always kind of a tomboy. Like, I always wanted to do the things that boys were doing also. So I wanted to skateboard and ride bikes and be doing all of those things. And somehow that just translated when I was an adult into my career choice, kind of wanting that challenge of doing things that other women weren't doing. And my interest in construction really came from wanting to know how things came together. So as I would see construction, buildings going up, I wanted to understand that better. And I started in the industry as a detailer, and I found when I went to school to learn how to use CAD, I loved getting in the details, and I also loved that there was kind of this artistic side to it, and that kind of blend really struck my interest. So that's kind of where I came from.
Well, my career in surveying didn't start with a plan. I'd actually was in my senior year of high school, and the technical teachers had come to our class, and they were telling about what they taught, why they taught it, whatever. And I had already signed up for auto mechanics because my father was a mechanic and I knew how to work on cars. And they came in and he said, well, I'm teaching survey, and this is what you do when you get to work outside. I'm like, oh, sign me up for that. And by the way, you get to be probably the first girl to graduate from my class. I'm like, I've got that. So it really wasn't something I thought out, but 22 years later, it's the only thing I know how to do. And then as technology has evolved in the surveying industry, I want to get more involved so that the world doesn't pass me by. So this is good for me.
So I have kind of a non-traditional path into the technology world, which I'm super grateful about. So working for Diversified previously, which was the organizers of SPAR 3D, obviously I was able to have the exposure to laser scanning technology, LiDAR technology, all of that. And I'm really grateful for that opportunity because that event management company also did floral events. They did seafood events. So I was lucky enough to get on the technology team and run that portfolio. And it's just ever-changing. It's incredibly innovative. Obviously, we've seen in the past couple of years and where the market is going. It's just extremely interesting, and it's an exciting place to be. And innovation is ongoing. So super grateful now to be on this side of the space, if you will, and looking forward to seeing where else it goes.
So I started like most of us. Actually, I studied geodesy. back in high school, my teacher, she suggested me about the geodesy, and I started researching about it, and I really liked it, like the fact that you have the options to be in the office and be out in the field. So that's what kind of attract me to the profession. And after I finished my bachelor's and master's in geodesy, I got a job opportunity in Germany to do lots of laser scanning. So at that time, I really enjoyed it and just continued in that direction. And today, my position is very variable. I'm out in the field and in the office doing both, and it's really fun.
In my case, I think that I decided that I wanted to be an architect when I was 11 or 12. I used to build cities and buildings with anything that I found around my parents' house, and usually I was building them under tables or on top of the sofas with coffees and tea boxes, cardboard box. Linen napkins were great to make like smooth slab and just imagine shapes. And then when I turned 12, we had a class in my high school that it was bringing us and showing us different professions. And that is when I learned that I actually can make that I love to become a passion and be my profession. So then I studied architecture. In my 4th year of school, my college has 6 or 7 years, I decided that I wanted to start working and being able to graduate with work experience. So I got a part-time job working in AutoCAD. And then I learned that Revit existed, and then I switched to BIM, and it's just, I love the tool, and I love what technology can do and how we can incorporate all these new tools and workflows and processes and data and bring it back to the design process. So that is what it drives me to stay in the architectural field.
I like hearing from all of you because you guys all have very different but similar and related technology experiences, and I think that's one of the key things that we started to talk about was just our experience and where we came from. It was very related to technology. It was related to backgrounds, the experiences we've had as children, but also we've had mentors or other advocates in our life that have brought us to where we are. For myself, I've had so many people that I've watched or had conversations with that have really got me to a place that, oh, this is what I want to do and this is what I can succeed at. And I know these other ladies have great mentors as well, and that was one of the biggest things that we really kind of talked about. And do you guys want to share about any of your experiences with a mentor?
So I can share a little bit about that. At a previous company, there was a woman who was on our executive team, and for me that was always a great example, and it kind of gave me this inspiration that women could move up in a company and be at that level. And I've also had mentors in the past where maybe I didn't recognize they were mentors, so people who were kind of pushing me in a direction or giving me opportunities to learn and grow. I think I've been really fortunate in that avenue. In my current role, we have kind of more dedicated mentors and people who advocate for us, and I think as I've learned throughout my career how much that offers, I've been intentional about seeking out those people who can really help me grow in my career. And I think it's so important, especially as women, because it's easy for us to kind of get overlooked. And I think we have to advocate for ourselves and also kind of find those people that can help us to advance throughout our careers.
Lori, I was going to say one of the things that I did as far as mentorship, and this was just recently in the last couple of months as I was transitioning to my new role, is I actually went on LinkedIn and I sought out 5 or 6 women in kind of this technology space that had the job I was looking to move into, and I set up one-on-one calls with them just to understand how their path was, similar to this conversation. And what that looked like to be the female in the room there as well. And that to me was almost a moment of there are examples out there, and I just had to go looking for them. That if you've seen a LinkedIn request come from me, that's sometimes my effort is to be able to make those connections for that mentee and support and advocate for other people. So.
Yeah, I think like for men in the industry that just comes very naturally because there's so many opportunities. But for us, like we have to be focused on it and really put out that effort ourselves.
Well, and I would say in 2022, the opportunities are there. I mean, every DEI committee in the U.S. has people pushing to hire more women. We're here. There's less women here than there are men. We have the opportunity, so it's just learning to take advantage of them and say, hey, we got it, let's go for it.
I'll say, Morgan, that's actually a really good point. When you look at, because females, I'd say, minorities and females in the industry are lower numbers, it's actually a great position to be in, to be able to advance, I would say, even faster in the industry because there is such a concentrated effort and focus on it right now. I don't know if anyone has similar experiences that, but I've found like it's a perfect kind of timing to be able to use my voice uniquely than what maybe it couldn't have been represented before because of those DE&I committees that are out there now. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm 5 years into my career and I'm a VDC manager, I don't think that other people would have the similar opportunities, but I feel like I work towards that and I put my effort into becoming that and, and then we also have like situations like this where people want to listen to what we have to say or care and want to give us opportunities, so I think it's really awesome for where we're at now.
In my case, being part of this panel as of today, it is very important because I moved to US 6 years ago, and when I moved, I didn't have any other woman that looked like me on the new force that I will be joining. And it was very important for me to understand that I could be a one-off and I could break the patterns and I could become that person that I wanted to actually have an example for. So for me today being here is like I wanted to be a mentor and a motivation for young women that look like me, that you can be part, right? Like it's welcoming, it is opportunity there. Look for them and open conversations.
I mean, everyone in the crowd too can be a mentor. I mean, probably a lot of parents out there. Like I felt really fortunate to have good parents that mentored me and pushed me. So just creating that foundation for skills and work ethic and things like that.
I think it's important to remind people that work for us or that we come across that you don't always have to start with all your ducks in a row. You don't have to have the degree finished or something else. Maybe you start as a summer intern. But I think as women, we tend to want to see all of the check boxes before we're willing to step out there. So having a mentor or that advocate to help push us to say, it's time to go ahead and get started. And I was very fortunate in my career path to have that because I was kind of the quiet person that was just getting started. But my boss recognized something in me I didn't know, and he's like, go talk to Nina, she's going to blah, blah, blah. And I didn't even understand that she was there to mentor me, but it definitely got me to keep moving forward. And it was before I was ready to. So recognizing those opportunities to push people maybe a little smidge before they're ready.
Also, I didn't have a mentor so far, but I would say it's much easier if you have one because it's easier for you to choose your path in career. Like for me, it took a little bit longer because I tried a couple of things until I figured out, oh, I really want to go into this direction. But and also to be involved with different professions too. Like my background is in land surveying, geodesy, but I worked with many architects and civil engineers, so I kind of learned about their field too. And I was fortunate in that part, and that kind of defined my path towards like my future.
I was maybe going to go back, Dee, to the comment you made about just there's the desire for females to check all of those boxes before they choose to advance and before they choose to get in there, where it's statistically proven that most males will actually check multiple or very few boxes and then advocate for themselves in those positions. And I think that's where that mentorship and someone to educate, to say you don't have to have all those ducks in a row to be able to go for it, really can help advance the industry, because there is that hesitancy just naturally as part of being in the industry for females, that we just don't go, we're asking for someone to kind of say it's okay to go. And we have to tell people, open up the door, go there yourself. So
Yeah, and just to add on that too, I think that also taps into what we were saying before, as far as everybody in this room could be considered a mentor. So especially for females, it's not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to find another female mentor. You can still learn a lot from your male colleagues, obviously. So I think in a way too, the perspective from their voice and their point of view too can help push you into that direction as well. So just taking advantage of all of the resources and the mentors that you naturally have around you, and being proactive and really feeling empowered to reach out to them and have those conversations, and really support you and guide you along your way, because at least in my shoes, I feel super grateful to have a whole team of colleagues that are in that space, that are acting as mentors and supporting me in a variety of different ways. So feeling empowered to step up and have those conversations and reach out and make those connections, whether you know people via LinkedIn directly or not, but just feeling empowered to do that, I think, is super important.
I really like what everybody's saying. I've got so many thoughts. So if you could say one thing, like as a mentor, what would you say to someone? Like, what's that one thing you would just advocate for them? Like, for me, I would just want everybody to know that you've got that voice and you can speak up and you should speak up. What is that one thing you wish you could say to somebody just right now? Like, oh man, I really wish you would just hear me out, and this is what you can do next.
Don't be afraid to try it. Just, if you don't like it, you don't like it, you switch, you do something else, but at least you learn from the experience. Give it a try. No matter what it is, just go for it.
I would like to say a message for women or men that are stepping in the industry or have many years in the industry, is that you can always pivot. You can always choose another opportunity and do a jump of faith, on yourself. You have potential. And personally, I will say that it doesn't matter in the country that you're born. It doesn't matter your mother language or your level of English at this moment. I have been there, and you're just going to work hard, right? And it's going to be tough, but you're going to make it. Just believe on yourself and tell yourself that. Like, you can do it. Just find those opportunities, work hard, and you're going to achieve it.
And it's also fine to make mistakes sometimes. You can always correct that, learn something new, and also always ask somebody who's more experienced than you, because they have the knowledge.
I'd say what you find to motivate you at a baseline level. Like for me personally, I'm super competitive, and so I like to tell myself, like, whatever these guys can do, I can do better, and just pumping yourself up and say, hey, I can do that.
I would also say speak up. I mean, nobody's going to know who you are if you don't speak up and advocate for yourself. And so, taking the initiative and taking that upon yourself to really, seek out resources, seek out mentorships, seek out different groups that you can be a part of, and events that have a component that look like it could provide some type of mentorship or, outreach to the groups or the individuals that you'd like to meet. But just don't be afraid to step up and feel empowered to reach out and be vocal.
And I will say, I was sharing this when we met kind of as a panel earlier. My kind of, mantra to myself is I'd rather be looked at than looked over. Because early in my career, I sat back very often and just hoped my voice would be heard rather than speaking up. And so I have to remind myself daily that I'd rather be looked at because I said something incorrect or not, rather than looked over and not seen as something that we could apply or have an opportunity for. And that doesn't mean that you have to do it disrespectfully or that you don't take into consideration being professional, but being able to speak up with the intent of you have a unique voice to bring, you have value to bring, and making sure that you can have that shared and bring it to that table, that there's a reason you're at that table. So don't sit back and just wait for someone else to speak up on your behalf. So I really like that, Leslie.
And the other thing you were talking about is advocates too. I mean, I want to give huge credit to Matt Bird for organizing this, giving us that. He's advocating for us to shred our words. So I think if we give him a round of applause, he definitely deserves that. And then Becca too, she's worked so hard to organize this, and we're really grateful for it.
Just on the topic of kind of the advocates, and I think this is a question that applies to everyone. Have you found that you've been able to identify an advocate on your behalf that's really helped you grow, whether that's internal or external or someone maybe that's left? Have you kind of sought those out, or someone come to you as part of that?
Seek them out. I mean, I think it's just, especially for me, I'm joining a new organization, really finding those resources, aligning with, the entire team here in the U.S. as well as our Munich headquarters. I feel like I'm always looking to learn from who I'm working with, both, within Navis, but also the industry as a whole. And so, again, it just goes back to that feeling of empowerment and speaking up and seeking out resources, individuals, people that can potentially support you or just be there along with you for the journey of your career or your role. So, I think just seeking people out, but then also seeing who comes to you. I think LinkedIn is, a fantastic tool. You'd be so surprised as far as how much mentorship and advocacy you can get just from that resource alone. But, again, it just goes back to really being open and curious and really allowing yourself to open up to the possibility of who you're going to meet along the way.
Yeah, I would say in general, just stepping outside of your comfort zone is really important. In the industry, there's always so much to learn, and there's so many people to learn from. And just being open, like you said, to meeting new people and being open to new perspectives and new ideas. And you never know who could be an advocate or a mentor or somebody that you could learn a lot from.
I would like to say that the things that I have learned the most in this industry are chit-chats that I have had with people. And then we just make a small connection, and then we follow up maybe with a 30-minute call, and then we check in, how are you doing? I'm trying this new thing. It's definitely so many things changing around in our industry, and they're going to be changing for the next year so much, right? And so we have to support each other and ask, how Leslie was saying, and learn, because maybe that person is specific and super great at something that you are going to be needing, and then vice versa.
Yeah, I'd also say joining organizations. There is an organization called Women in BIM. And so that's actually how I got here. My mentee that I got paired up with was on the panel last year. She's not here today, but I just want to give a big shout out to her because of her, I was able to get exposure, and now my network has grown immensely just being with everyone else here.
I guess maybe kind of a follow-up question to that, just part of being an advocate and being able to use that as a tool. One other question that I've always been asked is, what's been the most or the greatest skill that you've had to learn to be able to advance as well, to grow into these positions? For me, actually, one of the non-technical related, I was encouraged early on to start to look at financial acumen, so actually understanding. So as you get into a manager role where you're looking at equipment and being able to look at return on investment and investing in that technology, I got to prove that we're going to pay for this, right? That there's an investment piece to it. So I'd be curious, similar to maybe recommendations that people have given you from your advocates of what are those skills, whether technical or soft personality related skills that can help you as well.
I feel like a really important skill for me was learning to manage conversations that might be around conflict. So because a lot of the conversations we're having, people are not wanting to use technologies, and they might have good reasons, but not so much that it's an argument, but kind of learning that skill of not backing down and not being afraid of those conversations, having the confidence to continue through a conversation when there's opposition, I think has been really, really helpful in this position. And so I've really appreciated the training and kind of support that I've gotten in learning to navigate those conversations.
I guess follow-up, do you feel like from that you had a unique, or I guess a hesitation to have those straight talk conversations and kind of step up that maybe some of your counterparts wouldn't have had, just being female in the industry, that you have to kind of work that up a little bit more?
Yeah, I think so, because I think as women we're kind of brought up to be more agreeable and to be quieter, or just not to really be the voice in a conversation. And so it was something I definitely had to learn. And like I notice the difference after I've kind of focused on learning some different ways to handle that. I see the difference in those conversations and how it feels to be able to just kind of stand my ground when I know that something's important.
I love that answer, and I think kind of following suit with that too is own it. You know, you are who you are. You represent yourself wherever that is, so be proud of that. You know, be your best advocate. And as far as, you know, kind of just showing up for yourself, but also not being afraid to have a voice. You know, again, with the empowerment piece, having confidence in what you're saying and what you're talking about, and knowing that you're part of the conversation for a reason. You're in this room for a reason, you're on this panel for a reason, or whatever it may be. So just having confidence in that and just being, you know, proud of who you are and what you've accomplished and where you want to go, and just owning it.
In the organization where I work, it's really important for us to make sure that everybody has a voice. And I really love, like, when we're in meetings, they will go around the room and ask, do you have a question, any comments? And each person kind of gets a chance to speak. And I feel like, especially for women, that's important because sometimes we're just inclined to not speak up. And so that's kind of helped me develop that practice as well. And I think it helps when other people in the room are making that effort to make sure everybody has a voice.
I think I started off with the opposite problem because I was too blunt or too direct. And it was just the way I was raised. My whole family is just, you think it, you say it, move on. And I prefer that in conversations, but through many of my jobs in the field or in the office, I was actually encouraged to not be so blunt, not be so direct, don't speak so quickly, or let somebody else answer. So it's really encouraging to me at this point in my career and just the industry as a whole is to see people actually being encouraged to do so. So now I feel like I can talk how I want to talk, or what's more naturally for me. But I don't want people to discourage how people talk, but maybe there's a better way to refine it. And so I've learned to hesitate a little bit on sending some emails. But I am still very direct and blunt, and I love that it's more acceptable to be that way as a woman or just in the field in general.
I really like that. I recently was talking to one of my team members, and I'm like, you got to take a second to think about it. Before you say it, reread that email, reread what you want to respond back to. Take an extra second. And I think that's one of the lessons that I've taken away just in my career is just to have patience with myself and, you know, trust in myself to think through things, think about it, and then act on it, and that even if I take a little longer to respond, it's okay. Take that time to really make sure you're responding the way you want to and the way you would really like to make sure you're advocating for yourself, but you're feeling confident in what you're saying, and you don't have to backtrack. I'd hate to backtrack. I don't want to do that.
But making sure that you're saying your actual thought, not tiptoeing around it,
Yeah.
and not saying it.
Clear and concise.
I wonder how strange this piece of conversation is to the men in the room, because I don't know if they ever think about that.
I'd be curious, raise your hand, I guess, if you have had some of those challenges, right? We're talking about something I'd say,
Yes,
there you
we've
go.
got to take it. Oh, we've got to
I'm glad someone's
thank you.
listening.
Yes, thanks for the honesty. Appreciate that.
Yeah, because I think there is a lot of reality to, I think, women being very cognizant of how their voice is heard and how that's come across, because there is sometimes some assumptions made when you do have a strong voice in the room that I've always seen, whether it's professional or not, many men have done it, maybe not in the best professional way, but that's where I hesitated to speak up because of that, because you get labeled without just by being a voice. So
I can say by speaking up as I was going through my career, that's what exposed me to other things and other technologies, because, example, in my group at one point, they needed to do hydro work, and nobody in the group would say, I want to learn how to do high pack work, whatever. And I'm like, I'll do hydro work, and I loved it because I got to drive the boat, you know? But because I was so quick or so blunt, it gave me opportunities that I wouldn't have otherwise had.
sometimes I think it's saying yes to a lot of those scenarios that puts you in the position to grow And this is, I would say, advice for anyone, is being the first one to step up and say, I'll take that because no one else wants to. You get the opportunity to lead an initiative. You get the opportunity to put yourself in front of leadership, maybe that you didn't have before, and like not being afraid to take on the unknown, because we're all experiencing technology that maybe doesn't have the solution paved out for us right now, and we have to create that solution. And so that mindset of problem solving, but not being afraid of that, I think is a big part of how I've been able to grow, and I know how we've talked about some of these stories.
I can totally relate to what Carrie is mentioning, because to me, I am always the one that will be raising the hand when a challenge shows up in the room, because I get excited. I wanted to see like how I'm going to resolve this. Like, what is this new thing? Can I learn something new, or can I bring something new to the team? And I think that one of my best advocates in the past 3 years, she actually taught me how to be present during those challenges and how to actually do problem thinking, right? Critical thinking, and knowing the outcome that you want to achieve, but maybe you don't know the solution. And I think that one of the best things that I'm grateful for is that critical path, how she was helping me and advocating and mentoring me as well. Because I'm going to be facing those so many, right? And we are all going to be doing it. Like new challenges, new problems, but you know the outcome, but maybe the solution is going to be changing.
Who's got questions?
I have a question for the group.
Yes, do please, go ahead.
Okay. We were kind of talking about it backstage, but this isn't something that is a very well-defined career path. Can you say where you want to be in a year or 5 years, or where do you want to see this grow for your group?
I like that question. I forgot about that one. That's a good one. I think career paths for me has not been a straight line, and it's not been an obvious line. When in college, that was the path I wanted to go down. What's VDC wasn't even a thing at the time, right? But I think that it's just identifying those key moments. You're like, okay, that feels right. I want to go after that, and identifying, okay, that's the type of thing I want to invest my time in, and just finding those opportunities, and when they come up, to actually take advantage of those.
I would say that many opportunities are going to be showing up because the industry is going to be changing and technology is going to be changing. When I joined the industry 12 or 13 years ago, I didn't even know that BIM manager was a job position. And maybe, it showed up a few years ago. So I will be seeking to stay related to technology and digital transformation, closer to the design process. That is my passion. But I think that is the key. Finding where is my passion, finding those moments that spark joy in my day-to-day, because I wanted to, enjoy what I do. We are going to be working 30% of our time during a week, right? Like maybe 40 or 60 hours when you have deadlines. So my path is where I am bringing joy for myself and for the people around me. So I'm still discovering the path.
My goal is to get the professional license, so I'm working towards that. It doesn't matter, conventional surveying, modern technology of scanning or drone, I'm all for it. So I like everything, so we'll see.
Yeah, I'm in kind of a unique position as well, and it's sort of like the world is my oyster as far as where I go next in my career with Navis. But I feel like there's a lot of opportunity for me. I mean, there's a reason I joined as a business development rep for them, and I think just having that mindset as far as I can really go in whatever direction I would like, but also really where can I have the most impact and still be a part of the company in a really good way is kind of what I'm looking at. But for me, it's not like in any particular specific path. I personally kind of like it that way. Thinking I would be in this space or in this market, 5 years ago, not sure I would say that this is where I thought I would be, but I'm so grateful to be here. So as long as it's still in this world, I'm grateful.
I think it's amazing, like just in the past 5 years, like you mentioned, how much the technology environment has grown around construction. And I mean, it's like, what a time to be alive. Like we have this conference where we're showcasing like all of these new technologies that solve problems for the industry. And to me, that's just so exciting. So I don't know, the path has never really been defined for us. And that's kind of a unique position to be in. But like for me, I feel like if we just keep working towards solutions and how we adapt to the new technologies, like the sky's the limit, right? And it's just such an exciting time to be in the industry. I love it.
The career kind of evolves with the technology, right? We're inventing it as we go.
Also, I even have I'm a one-liner person all the way. But one thing that was actually said to me is, don't climb the ladder, create the ladder, which was so game-changing. And that was actually just recently, because the position I'm in today didn't exist a couple months ago in our company. It was a new position that was created. And that was direct from our HR that said, you don't have to climb the ladder, create the ladder. Because it was a little nerve-wracking to say, I don't even know what success looks like in this position, even though I've experienced that in other roles because it hasn't been there before. Understanding that we all get to create our own ladder because this is a space that's evolving. The positions that we're in today, some of those positions of where we want to go don't even exist yet. And I even heard that from like a chief marketing officer. 10 years ago, chief marketing officer was not part of a C-suite, and now a CMO is as a title, right? But because of social media and how marketing plays in the role, to me that's like, you're right, our next career paths may not even exist yet because this technology changes so fast.
I've been very fortunate with Bowman to never have like a path created for me, even though I've gone through the traditional roles and kind of the ladder of traditional progress. I never thought I would be a regional manager of a survey. But starting off with just me and a crew chief, we've grown. My region has grown to where I have multiple offices and I have a lot of people to answer to me and stuff like that. So I've been very fortunate. I've never made a plan. I just kind of do it. And but I'm kind of curious where my path is going to go.
Yeah, so it's a good segue to, motherhood is different and unique to women. My pathway can go a different ways for different periods of time. I just had a daughter and she's 16 months old now, and I really think about what I want to do to be a mother first, and then, how my career can work with that. I feel very fortunate that I'm able to work from home and have that work-life balance, but at some point, she's going to grow up and become the school age, and I'm like, I kind of want to do the homeschool thing, but I really want to also excel in my career and continue to grow. So it's hard for me to even think about, 5 years down the line, especially when, we're creating roles. They're being a BIM manager at GTM, we have a director above me, but, where does that go from there? And there's just so many opportunities in this space, especially, just so many different little areas and niches and tools that you can learn and use. And I'm just thinking the pathway's not going to be straight. And, I guess it's just kind of like accepting that, it's going to be different.
Yeah.
I would just add too that I think less about my path and where my path leads than I think about my team and what is the next step for them and how do I create growth for my team. So kind of looking at it from that perspective too just changes it. So I don't care so much where I go, but I want to make sure that they have opportunity to advance.
Yeah, absolutely.